development flow. Amazing book, but at the same time, 250 pages containing 177 principles. So it's a very heavy book. So would require around a year for to complete the book end to end. But at the same time, I highly encourage every one of you on this call to go through that book because it kind of changes your perspective around the product development itself, right? So that's how I would put it in one line. It changes your perspective around product development. Um, he talks a lot of things around queuing theory. He talks a lot of things around prioritization, the human aspects of decentralizing decision making, and also the WIP limits and stuff. So he talks everything from a product development perspective, not from a purely manufacturing perspective, but rather a product development, not just software, any product development. And I've also taken some bits from Safe's WSJF article. If you go to scaledagilephramawork.com and hit on WSJF or search for WSJF or weighted shortest job first, that kind of takes you there. Yeah, that's the reading part of it. So why WSJF? I mean, even before going to WSJF, right? Why WSJF? Don Reniston in his book talks about how companies prioritize. The alarming number he talks about, and I think some of the Gartner studies also kind of have shared the similar result, that 85% of the companies don't have any economic framework to prioritize. While we can all boast, I mean, we have something, but no economic framework to really prioritize things. Don Reniston says the some of the companies, I mean, go through this kind of prioritization. One is ROI, return on investment. I mean, we all know how do we calculate, but at the same time, the problem with the ROI is, are we sequencing the right thing? You just see something coming up with $20 million, prioritize it, and don't even think about something with the $10 million, which could have kind of yielded the result far more immediately. And it might also have a greater impact on the people that you are trying to serve. So ROI, while it might be okay to do it, but how are we sequencing the ROI, right? So are you just seeing the number and I mean sequencing it, or is there any thought process, right? Another one, which is a dangerous one, is a FIFO, first in, first out. Whatever comes to me, I'll start serving it, right? So whoever shouts the loudest gets the head of, I mean, gets into the head of the table, right? So it's a dangerous way to really look at it. Another thing is critical chain, where you are really looking at whatever has the minimal slack time, you are doing it first. What would that mean is, wherever there is less buffer time for you to go to market, you will do it first and then think about the next one and so on and so forth, right? While what that does is, wherever the customers are shouting the loudest, you will go ahead with that one first. Again, it doesn't mean that you will survive and sustain and survive and thrive in the market, right? So it just means that you are being very reactive around the customer complaints and trying to serve them as and when it happens. So how do we make it happen? What's the other thoughts? I mean, that is there, right? Luckily, Don Reniston doesn't talk about the HIPPO prioritization and the squeaky wheels. HIPPO, as we know, is highest paid person's opinion. Most of the organizations, I mean, go ahead with that kind of a prioritization. So what is his answer? So this is where, I mean, he talks about something called as a cost of delay. What would cost of delay mean for you? This is an open question for you. Anybody who wants to answer might want to unmute yourself and answer. What would cost of delay mean for you? Just from an English perspective.
What if we do not release a specific product or a feature on time in market, we may have a loss of opportunity, the result in ROI, goodwill, or anything.
Sure. Yeah.
What will be cost associated towards our client if that particular feature does not goes live in that committed timeline?
Exactly. Yeah. Any other explanations? And for me, it is asking that one question of, if I don't deliver it today, what will happen, right? So cost of delay is, if I don't deliver it today, what will happen, right? So Don Reniston talks about cost of delay. his idea is, I mean, money we can lose by not doing a job for a period of time. Say if a feature is worth $100,000 per month, and if it is going to make that much of a money, if I'm delaying that feature by 3 months, what would that mean is, I mean, it is a loss of $300,000. I mean, in a opportunity cost for me, right? So that's a thought process kind of that we have. So what happens is here again, Don Denniston doesn't talk too much about what are the parameters and how do we really go about it. He just leaves it there. He just leaves it for the organizations to think about it. What is the money that you are going to lose? I mean, put a dollar number for that one, and what's the money that you are going to lose because of not delivering a feature, or because of taking one more feature which is may not be a priority, which you don't know, right? So because of that, I mean, you are doing something else, you lose an opportunity by not doing something else. So that's where, I mean, Don Denniston kind of stops in. And what SAFe does is kind of thinks about from a practical perspective, right? In practice, what happens is we all know change is a constant thing. We all know that when a feature or a requirement from a customer or an intuition from an organization to deliver something new comes in, you really can't put a money parameter for that one. Most of the time, when you can't put a money parameter for that one, you can make assumptions, but at the same time, you really don't know an absolute cost there. So what do we do? So all we can do is what do we have on our kitty? Can we compare that one? Because say if I'm Samsung, again, I'm just taking an example because one Samsung device is in front of me. If I'm Samsung and I'm producing the mobile phones, I'm going to produce only mobile phones, maybe flat screen, scrivies, and something related to LCD. I'm not going to get into retail business, isn't it? I'm also not going to get into mortgages and loans tomorrow. So the backlog that I'm going to have is going to be somewhat constant for me on the on what product or a solution that I'm building. So try to compare what you have on your kitty. So that's where, I mean, SAFe comes with some practical approach. SAFe gives you 3 parameters within the cost of delay. We talk about user business value, we talk about time criticality, and we talk about something called as a risk reduction and opportunity enablement. Let's go a little bit deeper into what each these parameters are. What do you think is a user business value? Maybe, I mean, by what questions you will understand this parameter? In our webinars, all answers are right answers. We are not going to tell anything is wrong.
We can say, I'm Satish here. We can say what is the benefit end user is going to achieve based on this feature.
Exactly, because we are building something for the customer end of the day, right?
So based on which, what is the productivity improvement or what is the enablement or whatever it is. So based on that, we can derive the business value.
Okay, yeah.
Value of that particular feature according to the business.
Okay.
How much it them, or maybe how much ROI they will get on the basis of that.
Sure, yeah. So that's why, I mean, the user is there, right? So for the user, what is the business value? Again, it could be an internal user, it could be an external user as well. This is also something, I mean, we need to be keeping in mind when we talk about a user. It could be an internal or an external user, right? It could be a consumer, it could be a customer. Yeah. What is this time criticality? Why is it important?
The feature may get worn out from itself. Satish.
Yeah.
The feature may move out. I would say the feature first we lose the first mover advantage. For example, right?
Yeah.
You take off a smartphone, wherein you launched all this smartphone with 6-inch phones and everything. So first mover advantage, you'll get a potential benefit that you get a larger pie of market share.
Sure.
That's what.
Okay. Anything else?
Time criticality is like something.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Karthik.
Okay, thanks. So Ashwin, I'm just trying to understand the user business value because this has always been very an ambiguous term. So when we talk about business value, right, are we talking about attaching a dollar value to it, or what exactly we are talking about business value here, because it can be interpreted in many different ways.
Yeah. So one thing that we can quickly derive is if I have two features, which one will the customers prefer the more? Right? That could be a simple way to understand the user business value. So for the user, what has the highest value? While we talk about business value in terms of dollars, when it is as a company, we want to make a profit. But here we are mostly talking from a user perspective. What makes more sense to the user? Yeah.
Yeah, which makes the user's task very easy and very simple, which otherwise would have been very complicated, very time consuming. Second point is end user becomes very much productive if that feature is being delivered on time. And yeah, so these are the two factors. I mean, the end user would like that feature. I mean, that I can say.
Yeah. I mean, it could be about, it makes their life easy. It could be about, it makes them productive. I mean, it could be about, it is a cool feature to have as well, right? I mean, nowhere else it is available. So users want that feature compared to something else, right? So that's where, user business value comes in. Let's think about the time criticality. Yeah, sorry.
Ashwin, Praveen here, just quick question.
Sure.
On the business value, so normally product manager decide the business value, and sometimes it can even, it's just based on some assumptions, right? It may or may not.
Yeah, we will just
materialize.
Yeah, in the next thought, right? I mean, we'll just come to that one. Who decides that one, and is it an assumption, or do we have some calculation, right? I mean, and also how do we go about it, right? So if it is an assumption, we'll come to that.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, time criticality. Sorry.
So Ashwani, I think time criticality is something to, how much time it will take to deliver that particular feature. Whether it's a soon or later, but how soon or
not really.
How much time it will take?
Not really.
Yeah, this is Parul. So I feel time criticality is what will happen if this feature does not come now. Like, how does it impact? For example, when I'm just taking an example, when we had the pandemic and Zoom came in.
Yeah.
And if it had not come in at that time, and it had come, in a normal situation when, we had day to day, when things were not bad, then, things would have been different for it. But because Zoom came in and, it went on for all these organizations, it came at the right time.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
I think, Ashwin, this is Manish here. I believe the time criticality is also about kind of a market needs or the typical market cycle. The way it has to be get released, maybe in a school is starting. So, you have books, uniform, you should be ready with your inventory. Diwali is coming, so Amazon's offers and all everything. So time criticalities, I believe, is also quite important in such a space.
Yeah.
And third point is like, if not delivered in time, then it would definitely create a very huge negative impact on business, on day-to-day operations of the end users. For example, if all the 4 servers goes down, or the entire network goes down, or the entire data structure infrastructure goes down, for example, HDFC Bank's infrastructure, it had gone down, then it created a huge impact. So that operation or that activity, it has to happen on time. Otherwise, there is a very huge negative impact on the business, and the result of which an organization may lose most of the clients or the customers. That is the time critical.
Yeah, it could also be something like a regulation, right? So GST has to be implemented by July. So, you can't say no for that one, right? So it has to be implemented. That's all. It's not just about the value. It's also about the time criticality. And sometimes customers will lose hope on you and move. If you're not talking, please be on mute. Sometimes customers also lose a hope on you and move to some other product, right? So if it is not available on time, they'll wait for some time, but not for eternity. So that's where the time criticality aspect comes in. So the question you would ask is, will the customer stay with us, or will they move to someone else? Is there a deadline, right? So you will always ask, is there a deadline, or will the customers stay with us, or they will move somewhere else? The last parameter SAFe talks about is risk reduction and opportunity enablement. You can also think of them as two separate parameters, but SAFe combines them, saying that most of the time they are together as well. So what could be the risk reduction parameter there, and what kind of features or functionalities you will use there? Let's take one.
It could be around compliance,
yeah,
government regulations.
Yeah, again, it could be around that. Or what kind of risk? Sorry, what kind of risk?
So maybe to analyze the risk and reduce that, analyze that and find the solution for that risk.
It's mostly about by doing that particular requirement or a feature or a story, right? So you are reducing a future risk. Think about infrastructure. Think about compliances. Think about an architectural pattern that you have to do, or think about a tool that you are going to use it today, right? So these things will reduce the risk for the future delivery for you. This particular component, right, risk reduction and opportunity enablement, was specifically added for this reason. Otherwise, what happens is whenever the product management or the business talks about it, they talk only from a market perspective. So many of the times there is always a chance of missing something, an enabler part of it, right? Something like infrastructure or your compliances and stuff, right? You might miss it out. So this is where your risk reduction comes in. You are avoiding the future risk by delivering these features or requirements. Yeah. What is the opportunity enablement? What would that mean? Let's decipher from English language perspective.
Opportunity enablement, it can be like, let's say if the life of the end user is becoming simple, then they can devote the saved time in some other opportunities or the tasks which are more productive for the employees as well as for the organization. That means saving in time and energy, which can be utilized otherwise for the beneficial purpose of in some other activities. That is an opportunity enablement, I can say.
Not really, not exactly that.
Or Ashwini, it could be something like that, for an example, I'm entering into the new market. So maybe right now I'm going with a small country or a small region, but if it gets successful there, other countries or a bigger, areas can also take my product.
Sure. Yeah. So this gives you a feedback, right? This gives you a feedback. Many times, we don't try something because it doesn't feel like, we'll make money out of it, right? So if you think about any experimentation, if you think about any proof of concepts, prototype, right? They mostly come into the opportunity enablement part. So when you do them, you would get a feedback, or from a user perspective, what is right, what is wrong, right? So that, you can go ahead and actually work on them, right? So Don Renistin also talks about cost of delay and also making them, like using them in our day-to-day exercises. See, one simple
Ashwini, I have a question before you move further.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask, like, in cost, when we are looking at a feature, user business value is quite straightforward, that most of the features will have business value associated to it.
Sure.
They might have a hierarchy of time criticality as well. But from a risk reduction and opportunity enablement, just wanted to understand that would all features have a rating in terms of risk reduction and opportunity enablement? Or there could be case where they don't have?
If they don't have, you give the least number, right? We'll come to that.
Yeah, so because this is somewhere, I know you have defined it, but it's not very clear for me.
Yeah. We'll come to the example. It will become a little clear. Can we wait till then?
Yes, Ashwin. Thank you.
Hey, Ashwin, sorry to interrupt again. Praveen again. Just quick clarification on this one. So we are here prioritizing, features for the next, whatever the increment is. So this risk reduction and opportunity enablement, you mentioned there are two and combined into one. So when we are looking at this particular parameter, are we looking both the thing in in the same lens and then looking at the feature, or are we looking separately?
You look at, you take care of, both the things. Sometimes, it's one of them. Sometimes it could be both of them, right? So it is okay to kind of look at in like a singular fashion. Either it is reducing a risk or, it is enabling you the opportunity.
No, but you mentioned that it is mainly, put it for the enabler kind of a thing. So whatever enabler, whatever risk is reducing, at the same time, that feature or that, whatever we are doing, it should be, how much opportunity is enabling, right? It should be look in the tandem, right?
Again, caveat is it is mostly for enablers, but may not be only for enablers, right? Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm going to answer one question of who is going to do this one, right? So it is all stakeholders. Typically in a safe world, what we suggest is your product managers, they work with the product owners, because product owners are the ones who at the team level, right? They know the stuff, and they also work with the system architects. And typically, when we have this program backlog refinements, RT facilitate this session to come up with the WSJF, or the weighted shortage job first. Again, here we are using one more parameter called job size. Why do we do that one? If you think about it from a practical perspective, right? When you have these parameters handy and say you come up with a number, it is nice to have this number. But at the same time, what could happen is think about the queue and prioritization. What happens is some of the jobs will be smaller ones, some of the jobs will be larger ones. If you come up with a job which or a work piece which is going to give you $10 million, and another one which is going to give you say $5 million, you will always tend to pick up the $10 million one. But Don Reniston also gives you a kind of a guideline saying that you also need to look at the job size, because most of the organizations, your product organizations are constant, your capacity is going to be constant. In that case, you know how much time is it going to take at a rough level, right? When you know that one, you need to really calculate the weighted average. If it is $10 million, how much time I'm going to take to actually deliver it? If it is $5 million, how much time I'm going to actually take to deliver it out? So these stakeholders should sit together and calculate the cost of delay and divided it by job size so that they get a weighted average. That's what we call as a WSJF, or the WSJF, or weighted shortest job first, right? The acronym is called as WSJF fondly in the safe world. And as we talked about earlier, it is a comparison of what we have in the backlog. Whatever are the items that are coming up for later, we are going to kind of have a list, and for each one of them, we are going to give a value and kind of calculate the WSJF, and we want to go with the highest WSJF what is coming up. Again, in Don Reniston's perspective, he gives a suggestion of use a number 1 to 10. Number from 1 to 10. 1 is the least for you, 10 is the highest value for you. Use that and go forward. SAFE takes a little practical approach. We use the Fibonacci series, or the modified Fibonacci series. We use 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 30, 20, and 40, and 100 maybe, right? Why do we use the modified Fibonacci series there? The explanation is the moment you have a larger benefit, it is huge, right? Some of the things could be very small, very minimal. At the same time, some of the things would be very large and very huge. So you want to make a clear distinction. And also when you have a modified Fibonacci series, you are only dealing with 6, 7 numbers, not too many numbers. And also the discussion becomes really animated around why it should be 13 versus why it should be 8, right? So it is comparable in that sense. To answer one more question on how much frequently we need to prioritize, suggestion is, like you prioritize the team backlog, always keep it live. This feature backlog, typically we use it for the feature backlog in SAFE. You have to keep it constantly evaluating. In the sense, it's not that you do a WSJF calculation once and forget about it, or go ahead with, okay, this has come with the highest number, I'm going to go with this one. Not really that. But rather, what you do is you go ahead and keep on updating them as and when you have more knowledge about that, or as and when you get more clarity around what is happening, how is it happening, right? So once you have more knowledge, go keep updating that one so that your backlog health is always good, right? So prioritization is always taken care. Whatever is the highest number, that always comes at the top. So that's the idea there. And how do we do it? I'm taking an example just to kind of illustrate how do we do it. I'm taking an example from, say, something like Amazon.com, right? So you have review, you have rating, and you have a profile management. As of now, we are thinking about these three items as, search, cart, everything is built. Now we need to maintain the profile. People should know which book to buy or which item to buy. So I have a review and I have a rating. When we say review, you have to type in the review and submit it. When you say rating, it's just star marks are given and 4 out of 5 or 3 out of 5. You just give a number. It's easy. Yeah. Now let's think from each of the parameter perspective and how do we do it in SAFe? Again, simplest idea is think about what is the easiest one or the silliest one. Mark it as one. Rest all things comparatively compare with the others, right? So if you think about here, there is a book review, there is a profile management, and there is a rating. From a user perspective, if you ask the user, which one will they prioritize it more, or which one will they like it more? Or which one will they like it the least?
Book review.
That's the highest or lowest?
Lowest.
Lowest. Why it is lowest?
Because I will rate rating more, and maybe profile is also important.
Yeah.
So book review is very specific to one area. So for now, I think comparatively it's low for me as a user.
Yeah. So can I mark it as 1 because it is least? And also, you are actually telling the user to type something and submit, and you are actually putting some pressure on the user, isn't it? Users actually don't like it, right? Unless you have a bad review comment, you don't like it, right? You don't want to be, you want to buy the product. You don't want to review the product. You are not, you're not paid for that, isn't it? And maybe rating is next. If I like it, or if I have some specific thought, right, I will maybe rate it out. Maybe, I'll mark it as a 2, right? It's twice more important for me. Profile, as you said, it's the highest important out of these 3. Maybe I can give it 3 or 5 or 8. Again, it's the discussion that the business, when I say business, your product managers, business owners, they need to have with your architect and the product owner community. They have to come up with a common conclusion on why it is important. If you think about a profile, it is important from a customer perspective because when I get the profile management, I can enter my address, I can enter my shipping preference, I can enter my credit card details, and next time it becomes easy for me, right? So next time buying becomes easy experience for me. Maybe I'll stick to 5, and I'll go ahead and
excuse me, what is a profile?
Profile management.
I didn't get it. Can you please tell?
So in when you log into, say, Amazon.com, if you have already added your address in as a registered user, right? You don't have to type it again, isn't it? Profile management.
Account management.
Yeah, account management or a profile management for you.
Okay, got it.
Now let's think about the time criticality. Time criticality is where you will again ask the customer, maybe, will you stay with us if I don't deliver, or will you move away from me, right? So which feature do you think they are least interested, or which feature they'll be highest interested, or they'll be looking forward for that?
Profile.
Profile will be highest or least?
Yeah, book review would be the top because they will expect some improvement in the quality of the book or the quality content of the book. So maybe that
even rating sometimes is important because people try to look for rating before buying a product.
Okay.
Profile would be the least because that's just a one-time activity, right? You set it up and probably forget about it when you go for another transaction.
But if I don't deliver, will the customer be happy?
Right. From the organization perspective, profile is important. But from the customer perspective, it may not be the highest importance.
Yeah, maybe book review is the least and a rating could be a little higher, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah. Maybe I'll mark, again, book review is something, again, I mean, who will write that one, right? So maybe I'll mark it as 1. And profile, I'll mark it as, say, 2. And rating also, I'll mark it as 2. It is okay to have 2 of the features at the same level. That's perfectly fine. Again, don't take it as a sacrosanct answer. When you discuss, product managers, business, and the system architect discuss, right? They will come up with their pros and cons versus, I mean, this one versus that one. They should also have some market understanding. That's where, I mean, your user surveys, I mean, your discussions with the users also are very important to gather this data. It is not that, I mean, you come to this room and start thinking about which one will the customer really like. You would have done some research, you would have done some survey and analysis as well. Let's go to the RROE, risk reduction and opportunity enablement. What could reduce the risk of future delivery, or what could enable you to have more opportunities? What do you think? Maybe think about which one is the least. I mean, which one doesn't even reduce any risk or doesn't even enable you on any new features or any new feedback.
I think profile will be the least among these. And I would say book review will be little higher because based on that, you know, my user get influenced and wanna buy something.
Okay. Does all of you agree that profile will be the least?
Yeah.
Okay. And can I put book review and the rating at the same level?
Kind of, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 or 3 or 5 or how much?
3.
3. Okay.
3, yes. 3 only.
Okay. Whatever comes at the first answer, I'm going to take it up. Yeah. So COD is simple. Now COD is just add it up that, right? So user business value, time criticality, and risk reduction. So I get 5 as an answer here, 8 as an answer here, and 3 plus 2, 5 plus 2, 7 as an answer here. Yeah. And why did we do one column at a time here? Why didn't we go one row at a time?
It gives us a
comparative analysis.
Easy
Comparison, right? Comparison across the 3. And also, why did I put one of them as a 1?
So that we can have comparative kind of comparison rather than absolute comparison.
Exactly.
Like baselining it.
I mean, you are kind of baselining. You
Smallest
don't
unit.
have an absolute one, right? And what would also happen over a period of time is because of these things, right? I mean, when we calculate this cost of delay, what would happen is people start thinking about last time when we had this feature of say search, we said it's very, very important and we gave a number of say 8. So if we are giving a profile also 8, is it that important like a search, right? So that discussion, I mean, it kind of enables that discussion. Like, I mean, we use the Fibonacci series in a story point estimation. It is to enable the discussion, right? Guys, more than anything else, these numbers are for you to enable the discussion. Rather than, I mean, putting out, okay, 5 means $5 million or 8 means $10 million. It's not that. Rather, I mean, it's to enable the discussion of how can we compare one against the other? That's the intention there. Let's think about the job size. Job size, again, we go with the same thought process where we say whatever takes the least amount of time for you among them, mark it as 1 to develop. this is where the system architect's role comes into prominence, because they are close to the mostly close to the team, and even POs. They kind of have some judgment around, I mean, what is easy and what is little difficult. Out of these three features, what do you think is the easiest one to implement?
Book review.
Book review or book rating, or both of them?
So both of them are equal.
Equal, right? So it could be around 1, right? I'll mark it as this is just job size of 1. And profile management, how tough is it compared to the book review?
We can say 3.
Okay. So WSJF is simply cost of delay divided by the job size. So it comes with 5, this comes with 2.6, and this comes with 7. What does this tell me now is implement the rating first, then the book review, then the profile management. Again, I mean, if you would have gone with only user's perspective, I mean, you would have taken profile. Or if you would have gone with only COD, actually you could have taken profile, right? So profile management. What happens is this kind of tells you that while profile is important from a cost of delay perspective, it is going to take a longer time. Now you have 2 choices. You have 2 choices. One is, I mean, go with the WSJF and implement the rating and review first. Give it to the customer as quickly as possible. Profile management will be delayed, but it will be delayed only a little bit because you have taken some time there. Or in most cases, what product management now also thinks is, we thought cost of delay is very high here, but looks like job size is too big. So do we need to break down this feature? If we break down this feature, break down this profile management into 2 parts, is there a way for us to think about delivering one portion of it to the customer and take them into confidence, right? So this WSJF exercise also facilitates this discussion of wherever you see a higher value, but a higher job size as well. What would that mean is you want to break it down. You want to break it down a little bit. Maybe, I mean, you want to kind of divide that feature into 2 parts and take the highest priority feature, right? So that also kind of enables you into that kind of a discussion. Yeah. So idea of WSJF end of the day is to economically prioritize, but at the same time, more than that, enable you to have a discussion around what is important for you, what is taking the highest number of time, and why is it taking that much of a time. So you want to kind of have all that into the mix and really get to know what is important for you. Yeah.
So the size is also given in Fibonacci series, right? So it is not given from 1 to 10, right?
What I said is Don Reniston in his book suggests using 1 to 10, but SAFE says use Fibonacci series because some of the very high value things, I mean, they are far, far higher than, I mean, you are 1 to 2, or I mean, 2 versus 20 has 10 times more importance, or 2 versus 40 has 20 times more importance. If you want to think relatively, maybe, I mean, Fibonacci series works better.
So basically here, you mean to say the discussion between the stakeholder and product management mainly focus on 2 factors, WSJF and COD, cost of delay. These are the 2 columns which enables the discussion.
Cost of the delay and the job size. Those 2 are the parameters you just divide to get the WSJF or the weighted job that you want to do. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Ashwini, one question. This same thing can also be used for epics.
Yes, you can use it for epic. At a story level, I mean, we don't prefer to use it because, I mean, it becomes a too much of a thing, right? Because stories are typically, I mean, similar size and, I mean, 2 days or 3 days.
Yeah. But for epics, the same thing.
Epics, it's the same thing.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, Ashwin, Praveen again. So on the logistic front, how you run that WSJF session? So all the element of cost of delay, you always try to, pick the, least one and then always try to compare all the other features to that, right?
Exactly. And also, as I said, right, I mean, over a period of time, you will start having some baselines. Like, say, the search feature was had a like highest user business value of 20, or like, say, rating had a user business value of 2. If I have a new feature, something like I want the detail of the item, where does it compare? Is it more than that or is it less than that, right? So it also kind of has a, kind of has a baselining effect over a period of time.
And Ashwin, I just want to make one more comment, what happens on the ground. So one is, in my team, we always run WSJF sessions, but in art, if you have, like, for example, say even 10 features, and you do WSJF, but majority of the time you don't go with that sequence because multiple teams pick multiple features depending on the sometime technology or depending on the context, and
definitely,
so a lot of things start at the same time, not necessarily just by what you laid out.
Agree. See, if you have 10 features and maybe you have guys, if you have please go on. Yeah, thank you. So again, Praveen, that's a right thought as well, in the sense, right approach as well, in the sense, say, if I have 10 features and I have a capacity to deliver only 7, I want to know what are those top 7. And within that top 7, depending on the technology, maybe, one team takes up priority 3 and another team takes up priority 1, maybe yes. But over a period of time, it also gives you a suggestion that your skill sets maybe need to be broadened and stuff, isn't it?
But one thing sometime come in conflict. So sometimes we do WSJF, and when we go to PI planning and when our business owners work with product manager and they come up with the objective, and sometimes they conflict, and then it becomes a challenging. Should we work on the business objective ones at the top, or should we work on the WSJF one? So what's your suggestion there?
I see 2 anti-patterns there. First one is your business owners and the product managers should have been part of the WSJF exercise. If they are not part of the WSJF exercise, there is a problem, right? And my answer to anyone, who says we don't have a time in our organization for business owners to sit to do this one. You guys know Larry Page and Sergey Brin, right? They write the OKR for Google every quarter. So if they have time, your business owners should have more time than them.
No, even though they have times and they do attend.
Yeah.
But when they come up, when every team basically break down their business objective and when we try to roll up,
yeah,
and then we go back and try to compare, it doesn't match actually all the time. That's what
again, PA objectives or your business objectives are a derivation from what you have taken from the plate, isn't it? If you have said 10 items and 7 items have come up as a top, and if those 7 items are taken for consideration, business objectives should come from those 7 items, isn't it?
No, definitely. See, anyway, we have to do all the feature and all the objective, but I think the sequencing part comes in the conflict. Teams sometimes ask which one we should look for. Should we go for WSJF or should we go for business objective, which has a higher, business value in the objective?
WSJF is only for the features, and PI objectives always have a 1-to-N relationship or 1-to-1 relationship. It is always okay because say one feature might have 2 objectives or 2 features together might be 1 objective for you, right? So there is a difference between what is PI objective and what is this one. And also sometimes it's a good problem to have for the business to think about it and give a justification or an answer. And WSJF, as we rightly pointed out, it can always be changed. It is not that it is sacrosanct. Yeah. It will be same forever, right? When you have more details, you can always update.
Yeah, that's the direction even I provided to team. Always, objective is associated with multiple features and pick those objectives and try to deliver.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you. Let's try to do a small exercise for the last 10 minutes, right? So take a piece of paper and pen, or if you want to put a table like this, what I want you to do is, what I say is you can also use it in your life. Think about the 3 things that you are trying to do, right? Put them as features. Don't worry too much. Put them as features. It could be about, I want to build a house, I want to buy a car, I want to do something, right? I want to change job or whatever it is, right? Put 3 things. Again, there is no sequence, but just try to put 3 things that you are trying to do in your life. Yeah. Done? I mean, silence is yes or silence is no.
Yes, done. Yeah,
Done?
done.
Okay.
That's done.
Now let's think about the user business value. Here I will think from my own perspective. Which one do I like, right? Or which one do I hate? So whatever you don't like out of the three, mark it as one. Rest things, I mean, it can be 2, 3, 5, 8. At least one of them mark it as one. And comparatively, others relatively estimate them and say, okay, this is 5 times more important for me, or this is 2 times more important for me. Yeah. Okay, so once you are done, let's go to the time criticality. Maybe on a lighter note, I would say this one: if I don't do this one, I'll die types, right? So that's the highest priority for you, right? That's very, very time critical, right? Maybe you are changing the job or buying a car or whatever it is, right? I'm just using them as an example. So whatever is not time critical, even if you don't do it, right? So if I don't buy a car, nothing is going to stop. So I'll mark it as one. Rest 2 things that I have, I'll mark it as little more important or most important.
As I mentioned.
Yeah. Are we done there? Once we're done there, let's go to the risk reduction and opportunity enablement. If I buy a car, the risk reduction is COVID times. I mean, I'll have a safe way to travel, right? Opportunity enablement may be around I can show off and stuff, right? So that could be one thing. Again, I'm just putting some funny connotation around that. Whatever doesn't reduce your risk, whatever doesn't enable any more opportunities, but rather, I mean, burns your money, maybe, right? I'll put it as one. Other 2 things, I mean, becomes a little more important. Yeah. Okay, so once you're done with that, just add up user business value, time criticality, and RROE value. That gives you the cost of delay. Yeah, it's a simple addition: 1 plus 1 plus 3, or I mean 5 plus 2 plus 1, and you are done. Let's think about the job size. So this is how much time I'm going to take up, right? In a practical world, I mean, when you have features, you need Teams help here to really see how much effort or how much time is it going to take, right? Here, I mean, you will just say, okay, if it is taking car, maybe, I mean, I can do it in next 6 months, or that's the least one. Or if I'm buying a house, it will take another 1 year. So it is 2 times more tough or 2 times more time it requires, and so on and so forth, right? You can put it in that way. So whatever is quicker, mark it as one. Other things becomes little higher priority. And if again multiple of them are same, you can put the same number. It could be 1, it can be 3, it can be 2. Idea is at least one of them in a column has to be 1. So that way you have some baseline to compare with. And once you put up the job size, simple cost of delay divided with job size, 5 divided by 1, 8 divided by 3, and so on and so forth, whatever number you have. And you calculate the WSJF, or the weighted shortage job first. So now idea is whatever has come up as a higher WSJF, you have to do it first. Did any one of you got an answer which you thought something that I will do that one first, but you got a different answer? You don't have to tell me what is that feature or what is that personal thing in life that you wanted to do, but did you get a different answer?
Yeah, got a different answer.
Why do you think so?
Because now when I considered so many parameters, things changed because it became more clearer. Earlier, it was my thought that, okay, things were not very streamlined in a way. They were vague. Now it is more specific.
Yeah.
But that's what.
Yeah. Anyone else had a different answer?
So Ashwini, what will happen if both the scores are same?
Both the scores are same. Again, I mean, if you can take both of them, take both of them. Otherwise, I mean, you want to deliberate a little bit more on, or I mean, break them down, right? So break one of the features into multiple sub features. Which one should go first, right? You can also do that.
Thank you.
There is always, there is always a chance of multiple of them coming with the same number. Either go back to the calculation or break them down and see which one does work. Say, think about search. If search is a highest priority and also takes a longer time, I would go with breaking them into two parts. One is simple search, which is easy to implement faster and also gives more satisfaction to the customer quickly. And also put the predictive search to a little later, where when you type something wrong, it will start, I mean, do you mean this one, right? So you ask that question. So then, then for me, it becomes easy. Simple search is simple. I'll get a higher number. Predictive search, it is going to anyway take longer time. But even if I give it to the customer a little later, they should be okay, right?
So instead of one feature, then there will be two features, right? After breaking down.
Yes, yes. Yeah. So was this exercise helpful? I mean, do you think, I mean, we can even apply in...
Yes, sure. It was very helpful a lot, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
Actually gave us a logic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite different. Didn't think like you could use
again,
it.
I mean, using in life is something I would suggest you guys, because it's, I mean, I call it as mind over the heart sometime, right? So you are so much enamored with something and so much kind of stuck by a parameter that you kind of don't think about the other parameters. And again, if you are using for a life, maybe, I mean, you kind of come out with your own parameters. So, I mean, my family is one parameter, work life is one parameter, and so on and so forth, right? So think about that from that perspective. Then you'll be able to balance out your priorities, because you possibly can't do everything. But if you want to do something, it is better to prioritize them, isn't it? Yeah. Preet, that's why I didn't come to Safe Thursdays last year when my SPCT journey was going on.
I know that WSJF turned out different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So,
yeah.
Any questions, guys, before we call it a day?
How soon we can have access to this recording? It seems very informative session too.
Okay. Yeah, I think.
You'll have to give me at least a couple of days, right? So no, if you have already prescribed to either Agilemania or Cyberbond, no, you will automatically get the notification, right? Otherwise, you just need to head over to YouTube, search for Agilemania, the channel under which you will get the recordings. Yeah,
sure.
So it should be up, during the weekend for sure. Yeah.
Thanks, Preet.
Okay. Oh, we were live on YouTube as well. So
yep, we were live on YouTube. Yeah.
Okay.
So 8:31. Any quick questions before we wind up? I guess not. So as always, thank you so much for joining us on our Safe Thursdays. Right. Just a reminder, every second and fourth Thursday is when we have the Safe Thursday coming in. Right. So I'll see all of you in next 2 weeks. Yeah.
Same time.
Thank you.
Same time. Yeah. 7:30.
Thank you, Preet. Thank you, Ashwini.
Okay. Thank you, Ashwini. Thank you,
Thanks, Preet. Thanks, Ashwini.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
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 Bye.